Well, good morning and welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I'm Reverend Jennifer Spear. We are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living, and I'm so glad that you have come here this morning to spend your morning with us and with each other. Let's begin our service today by reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's what we're up to here at Living Beyond Limits, is we are giving ourselves the opportunity through the music and through the readings and through the talk and actually just through being together and witnessing our own sacredness and our own spiritualities. We are waking up to and remembering the fact that yes, indeed, we are incarnations of that one infinite presence. That it lives and moves and has its beingness within us, that presence that is in and through everything. And what that means then is that we are never separate from that. We are never apart from that. So what that means then is what is true of the infinite one is also true of us. That means that the peace of spirit is already right where we are, that the wholeness that spirit is our own makeup, that love is innate to our beingness. Because what happens then is when we go out into the world and the world, say, is not reflecting back to us love or peace or kindness or generosity, we aren't as reliant on the world giving that to us because we can tap into that is already within us and we can bring forward the peace or the love or the generosity or the kindness. And so as we awaken to our own divinity, to our own spirit, we become a beneficial presence because we come to the world differently. And because everything is connected to everything else, when we are a beneficial presence somewhere, that actually ripples out like ripples on a pond to affect the whole, because we are all part of the one. And so we are here indeed creating this sanctuary, this place of love and support so that we can discover that within us, discover our own goodness, discover our own spirit, and bring that forward. And so I thank each and every one of you for answering the call of your own spirit to be walking this path, to be being a beneficial presence in the world. Thank you for that. So I have a question for you. Do you ever feel overwhelmed or troubled or distraught by everything that's happening in the world these days? Daily. From wars to politics to immigrants and refugees, from COVID to AI to what seems like a divided country. It can be a lot. It is a lot. And it can seem and be so easy to get overwhelmed by all of it. So do you also, and even, you know what, even if you don't watch the news, even if you don't read about it, we are still in that collective pool of energy of everyone's upset and distress and thoughts and feelings about everything that's going on. And that, just being in that collective pool, affects us, whether we are currently watching the news and that kind of stuff also. See, we're having some sound issues. Should I wait? We're on? Good, okay. And so another question for you is, do you ever find yourself wishing that the world were a kinder and gentler and more loving place? Yeah. You know, I think that is actually one of the reasons that we come here to Living Beyond Limits, is here we find this respite from the chaos of the world. We find this respite that is filled with love and kindness and generosity. And it's a sanctuary for our souls to come and be in that kind of energy and in that kind of a place. And you all know that we have a visioning team and that we do visioning for Living Beyond Limits. And one of the questions that we ask is, what is the highest idea that is seeking to unfold itself as Living Beyond Limits? And another one of the questions is, what are we being called to be today as living beyond limits? What are we being called to be so that we can serve the larger community and our community? And some of the themes and the answers that reoccur and come up are circles of people coming together, coming home. Inclusion, belonging, connection, being embraced exactly as we are and loved. A respite from the world, a sanctuary, a place to rest in the divine essence and feel safe in doing so. A place of coming home to ourselves. A place of self-discovery, empowerment, and remembering who we are. A soft place to land when the world is hard. A beacon of light in the dark, an anchor and a buoy during stormy times. A place of reprieve in a crazy world and a voice of sanity, a touchstone, and a place of love. That's what we focus on, your leadership team, in creating that, because that's what we're being called to be. And that is what is seeking out of that universal love intelligence to be in this world. As human beings, we want to live with a sense of well-being. We want to and we need a soft place to land when the world is hard. We need a refuge from the storm. Because if we don't have that refuge and if we don't have that soft place, we become exhausted and we become depleted and maybe we even become a little bit depressed. And also as human beings and spiritual beings, we need to love and to be loved in return. We need to care and we need to be cared about and cared for. We are wired as human beings for care and for empathy. You don't have to take a class to learn how to love and care. And it doesn't matter if you're 3 or 103. We still have those needs to love and be loved, to care and to be cared about. I actually read a Gallup poll this week that said, just saying hi to your neighbors increases your well-being, increases your thriving, increases loving the life that you are living. And you don't even have to have a conversation. And you don't even have to know their names. Just saying hi increases your sense of well-being. And so living beyond limits then is this place of respite. It is a place where we get to come home to ourselves. It's a place where we get to rediscover that within us which is deep and calm and untouched by the storms of life. A place where we get to rest within ourselves and rest in a community of care. That's what we create for each other here. And then my next question to you is then, so what do you do the rest of the week? What do you do the other 6 days when you're not here? I think one of the things that we often do to deal with the tumult, to deal with the stresses, is and those challenges that are in the world and the challenges that are in our own lives, is we practice escapism. Escapism looks like, playing games on your phone or your computer, or watching TV or videos on YouTube. It might mean drinking alcohol or eating junk food or eating too much food. But we do all of those things as a way to escape the discomfort that we feel because of all the things that are going on in the world. The problem is, though, that escaping and numbing out don't actually feed us. They don't actually give us a deeper sense of well-being. They don't make us feel nurtured or make us feel cared for or loved. They are only a momentary fix that has no lasting benefits beyond the moment that you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Yes? And so what if? What if all the chaos and the turmoil that is going on in the world is really a calling to you to be your own Sabbath? What if it's a calling to you to be a place of refuge for yourself? What if it's calling you to be a place where you can be nurtured and filled up? A place where you can come home to yourself in that soft place of landing, in that place that feels like home. What if we are also being called to create that sense of refuge for each other and in our relationships? And so the title of my talk today is A Place of Your Own. And I'm talking about how necessary it is to be that place for ourselves, to be a place that is safe and a place that is nurturing, to be a place that is a soft place to land within ourselves while we are living in this world. And the more turbulent the world is, the greater that need is within ourselves to be that place for ourselves. Pema Chodron said, practicing loving kindness towards ourselves seems as good as a way as any to start illuminating the darkness of difficult times. Isn't that true? What a place to start, creating that space for ourselves and loving ourselves and creating loving kindness for ourselves as a way to start illuminating the darkness. And so where do we begin? How do we begin to create that sanctuary within ourselves, to create that space of respite? I think we begin by recognizing that that kind of self-care is a spiritual practice. That kind of self-care is a necessary spiritual practice to do on a daily basis. And so today I'm going to talk about 6 different, maybe not so easily thought of, spiritual practices that will help you create that sanctuary within yourself where you can find respite. And so the first one is practicing Sabbath. And what I mean by practicing Sabbath is unplugging from the world, unplugging from the news, unplugging from all the chaos, unplugging from the strife, and instead creating a warm and open space within yourself where you can come home to yourself and rest. Because Sabbath is about rest, and it's about reconnection with the divine within ourselves. And so that might look like creating a Sabbath within yourself, for yourself. That might mean listening to music. It might mean singing. It might mean reading poetry or writing poetry. It might look like journaling or taking a walk somewhere where there is greenery and trees. It might mean taking your shoes off and walking barefoot on the grass in your own backyard. It might mean just sitting under a tree. But for sure what it does mean is it means slowing down, and it means moving into a relaxed rhythm as you move through that doesn't contain all of that stress of the world. It means being present with what is right before you and present with yourself without being distracted. That creates a space of respite within ourselves. And so I'd like to share a story with you. It says, a certain shopkeeper sent his son to learn about the secret of happiness from the wisest man in the world. The lad wandered through the desert for 40 days and finally came upon a beautiful castle high atop a mountain. It was there that the wise man lived. Rather than finding a saintly man, though, our hero, upon entering the main room of the castle, saw a hive of activity. Tradesmen came and went. People were conversing in the corners. A small orchestra was playing soft music, and the table was covered with platters of the most delicious food from that part of the world. The wise man conversed with everyone, and the boy had to wait 2 hours before it was his turn to be given the man's attention. The wise man listened attentively to the boy's explanation about why he had come, but told him that he didn't have time just then to explain to him the secret of happiness. He suggested that the boy look around the palace and return in 2 hours. "Meanwhile, I ask you to do something," said the wise man, handing the boy a teaspoon that held 2 drops of oil. "As you wander around, carry this spoon with you without allowing the oil to spill." The boy began climbing and descending the many stairways of the palace, keeping his eyes fixed on the spoon. After 2 hours, he returned to the room where the wise man was. "Well," asked the wise man, "did you see the Persian tapestries that are hanging on the dining hall? Did you see the garden that it took the master gardener 10 years to create? Did you notice the beautiful parchments in my library?" The boy was embarrassed and confessed that he had observed nothing. His only concern was not to spill the oil that the wise man had entrusted him with. "Then go back and observe the marvels of my world," said the wise man. "You cannot trust a man if you don't know his house." Relieved, the boy picked up the spoon and returned to the exploration of the palace this time, observing all of the works of art on the ceilings and on the walls. He saw the gardens, the mountains all around him, the beauty of the flowers, the taste in which everything had been selected. Upon returning to the wise man, he related the details of what he had seen all around him. The wisest of wise men said, "You see, the secret of happiness is to savor all of the beauties of the world, even while you live with the care and the keeping of the mundane things of the world. It is balance that allows us to be well." And isn't that what we find ourselves doing? Looking at the 2 drops of oil, the TV and the news and the horrors and the things that are going on in the world, and missing out on the beauty. And that is the second spiritual practice, which is savoring. What a lovely spiritual practice, savoring. And so what I mean is savoring the good that you already have in your life. Savoring your relationships and your home. Savoring the things that are beautiful all around you. The clouds and the breeze on your skin and the leaves that flutter on the trees. Savoring the food that you eat. And even the preparing of that food and the aromas that come forward. Savoring the grocery shopping. Like as you walk through that produce section, all the colors and all the textures and all the tastes and all the options that we have. And what a blessing that is to have all of that right at your fingertips. You know, I love going to the grocery store because one of those things at the grocery store, I can have anything in this entire store and I can afford everything that's in this store. What a blessing that is. And so savoring those things in our lives takes slowing down. And it takes noticing. And it takes paying attention. And it also, the other thing is it brings us to gratitude. Gratitude for those things that we have in our lives. Savoring takes us out of our heads, which is where all that worry and concern about what's going on in the world lives, and actually moves us into our hearts and into our bodies so that we are heart and body and mind present with what it is that's before us. Which takes us right to the third spiritual practice, which is gratitude. Savoring and gratitude. What lovely spiritual practices. And you know, we talk a lot about gratitude here. But gratitude, the spiritual practice, is to experience and to express our gratitude for the opulent good that we have in our lives. The opulent good. For your friends, gratitude for your home, gratitude for air conditioning when the weather is humid, gratitude for a roof over your head when it's raining, gratitude that you have a car that will take you anywhere that you want to go. The list is endless, the things that we can be grateful for that we already have in our lives. And so the fourth practice, I'm talking about 6, the fourth spiritual practice is to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. That creates that safe sanctuary within yourself. Forgive yourself and others because you know what? We all make mistakes. It's part of being human. It's part of the human condition. So we all make them. Nobody in this entire world is without faults or foibles or making mistakes. And so let it go, whatever it is, whether it's something you've done or someone else has done. Let it go. Because holding on to it steals your joy. Your unforgiveness steals your peace. So create for yourself an inner sanctuary that is serene. You deserve to live in a serene atmosphere. And the fifth one is to practice kindness. To practice kindness towards yourself and towards others. Be kind and gentle with yourself. Treat yourself as if you would treat a friend. The world has enough strife within it without us adding more strife inside through our self-talk or through our unkindness towards ourselves. So forgive yourself and forgive others for whatever it is that you've done. Sue Patton-Thiol, in her book, The Mindful Woman, says, "It is only in the safety, support, encouragement, and self-love that your soul can bloom as it was created to do." Loving and encouraging and being gentle with yourself helps you be more loving and kind and compassionate and caring, and helps you bring your best self to the world so that you can be that beneficial presence, so that you can be that healing presence for other people. Ernest Holmes said, "We attract to us what we first become. Until we learn to love, we are not sending out love vibrations. And not until we send out those vibrations can we receive love in return." Loving ourselves allows us to receive the love from other people also. And the very last part, the last spiritual practice, is to know that also self-care includes being in relationships with other people who are loving and kind and supportive and caring. How's that for a spiritual practice? Being with the people who love you. And so my invitation to you this week is, when the world seems turbulent, when it is filled with strife, to recognize that you and your soul need a place that is a place of respite. You and your soul need a refuge from the storm. You can't live in that all of the time. So create that sanctuary within yourself where you can rest and feel safe and be at home and feel your own spirit. Create that sanctuary within yourself through practicing Sabbath, being a place of Sabbath. Do it through the practice of savoring and through gratitude for the things that are in your life. Do it through forgiving yourself and forgiving others. And do it through kindness. Kindness towards yourself and kindness towards others. And create relationships where you are a Sabbath for each other and a sanctuary for each other. And know that any of those spiritual practices will help you move back into your own divine self and to feel your own spirit and to have that sense of coming home and to be in that space where your spirit thrives, where your spirit can come forward, where your own spiritual nature can feed you and give you that sense of well-being. All of those practices will allow you to rest in your divine self. So I'm going to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. He said, "Our loneliness, our sense of isolation, our poverty, our doubt and sickness are results of being disconnected from the fullness of the divine self." So recognize that all of that discomfort is really a call from your own soul to connect with yourself and to come home to yourself. And so blessings to every single one of you as we learn how to create that sanctuary within ourselves for ourselves and for the other people in our lives that we love and care about. Blessings to you on this path of remembering and this path of self-discovery and this path of bringing your spirit into this world in a way that is beautiful and is healing. So blessings to all of you. And so I invite you to join me in recognizing the truth. And so we come to that place where we recognize there is only this one infinite power and presence that is the very activity of love, and that it is everywhere present. That one unfolds itself in and through and as all of creation. And that this presence is boundless. It is the very energy and the principle of peace and of a limitlessness, of infinite potentiality, of good without bound. And it is love and peace and wholeness and power. And it is who and what we are. For we are each and every single one of us individuations of this light of the divine, here walking this planet, bringing our spirits forward in a way that is healing to ourselves as we remember, as we wake up, as we reawaken to the truth that has always been here, the truth of the omnipresence, the truth of the infinity of that one, the truth of the goodness that life is, the goodness that fills all things. And so today, as we leave here, we recognize that yes, indeed, there is already a sanctuary within us. A sanctuary where we can rest, where we can come home, a place where we are safe and loved and cared for and valued. And it is the place within us of spirit. It is the place that is none other than that very divine essence. And so today, in recognition that that is already within us, we do practices that help us move back into that place. Practices that are nurturing and loving and spiritually fulfilling. And so how grateful I am to be in this place of recognition, in this place of remembering. And so I speak this word also about every single world leader and politician and decision maker, that same presence is also within them. And right now, today, it is revealing itself as the highest intelligence, which is unfolding itself as the best choices and the best decisions, the highest decisions that serve humanity. Not just some of us, but that serves all of us. For I know that even if those answers right now are beyond our comprehension, they are still absolutely held in that absolute intelligence and in that infinite potential. And so they are revealing themselves to all of those today who are making decisions. Those decisions create love and oneness and hope and good for humanity and for this planet. And so I release this word into that creative law of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself all around us. For we have said yes to that. We have created a space within ourselves for that to unfold. And where there is a yes anywhere, there is a yes everywhere, for there is only one. And so I release this prayer in gratitude. And if you are in agreement with me, I invite you to say, and so it is. So I actually only have really one invitation for you, and that is we are going to be having a picnic and Sunday in the Park again the last Sunday of this month. So just to put that on your calendar, we had a really good time last week. We were in the park and people hung out for a long time. It was really lovely. So we're going to do that again. And Barbara has something that she's going to share with us that on our last outreach project, one of the things that we did was we wrote cards to soldiers. And so we have a letter that we have received in return. She's going to read just part of it for you.
Yes, I'm just going to read just a little bit. Anyway, it says, "Thank you for your generous donation of 70 letters and supporting those who serve. Since our founding in 2003, with the help of grateful Americans like you, we have delivered over 3.8 million of our signature care packages to deployed troops, veterans, military families, recruit graduates, and first responders. We are honored to serve those who have served us and are grateful for your support. Your support has a tremendous impact. A care package boosts morale for service members stationed far from home and enables us enables a veteran, a wounded hero, or caregiver to feel appreciated, many for the first time." So I'm going to put this letter on the back, and you can read it because there's more to it than that.
And so that's from Operation Gratitude,
yes,
which is where we wrote all those cards,
yes,
and we gave them to then give to the military people.
Right.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So my other invitations are just that our Sunday talks come out and land in your email box on Monday if you want to share them with friends. We have prayer support. You know there's a Ministry of Prayer box, and we have prayer shawls. If you'd like to gift one to yourself or someone, the practitioners are happy to pray over it, and you can take it with you. And to follow us on our social media, which is Meetup to say you're coming, Instagram, you can watch things, and we're posting some other things, and our videos are on YouTube. And so I invite you to repeat after me. Good fills my life now.
Good fills my life now.
I recognize it.
I recognize it.
I savor it.
I savor it.
I own it.
I own it.
I live it.
I live it.
And so it is.
So it is.